Hey both. Hi Rob. Hi Chris. Hope you're well. I'm going to kick off with our first question. So, what are you hearing from customers right now that you weren't hearing 2 years ago?
Chris, I'll start.
Yeah, go
Just
ahead,
going.
Rob.
Yeah. So, I mean, for us, it's a really good question because we're seeing the landscape, especially integration, which is where we sit as clients, just changing with new tools, technologies at such a rapid pace. And that's raising questions not just for customers but for ourselves as partners. I'd suggest, and we're thinking of things like trusted protocols, like EDR has been in the integration world for so long, but you've now you've got API driven techniques. So that's one of the biggest things I'm seeing today. That's the shift in probably 24 months. Hey, Chris, from your perspective, do you see similar?
Yeah, I think obviously from a deeper than blue perspective, what we have witnessed in that last couple of years, 24 months, is the phenomenon that is AI and the piece around application modernization in terms of how organizations are thinking about taking some of those legacy systems and modernizing them moving forward, as well as moving towards more modern infrastructure that is fit for purpose. And as Rob said earlier, the key to that is making sure that you've got access to modern methods of integrating applications, systems, and data.
Yeah, you said that legacy systems piece, Chris, as well, because it's again they're not clear on the next 3 or 5 years, and I guess that's why they come to us as partners to go look, give us some direction, because again that natural piece is also we might be losing people, right? Skills gaps, and things like that. We keep hearing that as a prevalent sort of conversation starter, and again as a result, that's where again partners like ourselves can come in and fill that gap with a managed service with that skill, I guess.
So, I guess where customers are caught between knowing they need to modernize, but they need to keep the systems running as well in tandem, your clients in Deeper Than Blue can help with customers who are facing this today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, without doubt. I think it's important, businesses need to keep the lights on, they need to keep running. And it's essential that any modernisation programs make sure that that is the case. They can't afford pain, they can't afford risk at the end of the day. And it needs to be a smooth transition from an older application and system to a new one.
Great. Well, with that in mind, could you both tell me about your organizations, Deeper Than Blue and Coliance, and what sort of work or how you work with IBM for the customers that are in that position that we've just spoken about?
Go on, Chris. I'll give you the honour this time.
Deeper Than Blue, as we may have already highlighted, is a business that helps people build applications, modernize applications, and move to the cloud. Part of that modernization today is employing generative AI technologies to help people improve business process, to make their businesses more efficient and to effectively make sure that they're more profitable and that they can get cost savings from process efficiency. So that's where we focus our time and effort. And we have a partnership with Coliance. I'll let Rob introduce Coliance, where we've been working together for many years.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah. So Coliance, again, UK-based company, IBM Gold business partner. So I've worked closely with IBM for over 25 years, specialising in the integration automation arena, serving variety of industries with either software supply, the associated professional services with that, and then our own bespoke managed services, again, built upon IBM software. Where we see our most traction, I guess, is in that retail, financial services organisations and fast moving consumer goods. We employ 25 people, predominantly consultants, because it's the services element that we're obviously driving. And with that, we drive services first, and with that comes the software. So it works perfectly with that IBM relationship, how we're building our business upon those fundamentals. Chris touched on a really interesting point around the AI element as well, because it's within every conversation right now. It's almost woven within each fabric of what about AI doing this? Can it support another function without losing human in the loop, for example? Because we can build with it, but we still need those people that have got the skills over the last 20, 30 years able to go and do the actual.
Absolutely. It was a really hot topic. We've just all four of us have all come back from Boston,
Yes.
which is our flagship conference at the start of May. And I think that was a huge topic of our conference and our IBM messaging. So thanks both for the introductions, both really long-term standing partners with IBM, and it's great that you've got a partnership with each other as well. Just shows how strongly our ecosystem is and that pulling partners together. From your both wealth of experience, what tends to go wrong for customers who try and either just do things with one vendor or get a wrong mix of suppliers who might not all talk to each other? Rob first?
Yeah, I'll say that one. I think that one of the most common mistakes is assuming the destination before you've fully understood what the customer's trying to achieve, and that's the project in its totality, but the stakeholders involved, the desired outcome, fully getting to grips with that, I think. And again, working with DeeperThanBlue as we have in the past, you're bringing in those levels of expertise to go, right, let's sit back and really understand what they're trying to achieve. Because again, just building on top of something, because somebody said, I want to do this. I mean, I think I've still some of Chris's thunder, but that's like taking a monolithic app and just moving it and thinking you're going to get a different outcome. So I think that's probably one of the big ones that stands out for us as clients.
Q and Chris.
And from our point, I think there's a couple of things. It's to add to what Rob said. It's how you design the project and set the project up at the start. And when I'm talking about that, I'm referring to even at the point before sign off of the project, understanding where the return on investment is going to come from and looking at where wins will be achieved during the project life cycle, but also prioritizing where those wins are gained. We've seen with projects in the past that it's typical that organizations' gains don't come till later in the project life cycle. And it's quite important for all involved, all parties, to ensure that some element of wins are demonstrable early in the project life cycle, so that organizations and individuals are committed to making sure the project is a success, rather than starting to question whether the project will be successful. So I think it's important that the project's structured right from a starting point. You need to define, as Rob said, what good looks like and understand that and make sure everybody is aiming for that same goal at the end of the day. An important point, I think, is to make sure that you're using a sprint methodology with short durations so that you can see these wins quickly rather than going down a waterfall route. So it's an agile project methodology and approach rather than the typical old-fashioned waterfall style project.
Yeah, good point.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you both. So, two partners together, Coliance and DeeperThanBlue, you're working together, you've got a strong partnership for many, many years. What does both DeeperThanBlue and Coliance working together look like in practice? How do you actually work together with customers, and what does better look like together when you are at the front of one?
Rob, do you want to take that?
Yeah, but no, absolutely. It's in our first evaluation of the engagement. We aim to make sure the customer sees us as sort of a single entity. Trust at the first pass, right? Trustworthy and able to solve their problem. So that's why we selectively pick partners we work with, and equally the same, I'm sure Chris would say the same, that deliver value to each other. And again, this is why we want to collaborate with DeeperThanBlue and have and continue to, because you build that trust early on with each other, what we deliver. And I guess also we know our lane. We know where we specialize in with our integration capabilities. We can't be all things to all humans, right? So customers brings us an opportunity to talk to them. One of our own, we welcome the opportunity to bring them and invite Chris to meet them and say, guys, look, we've got somebody who could probably assist, because we understand what DeeperThanBlue do today. So that's the better together approach. It seems simple in saying it, but we've done it in practice, I guess, is the thing.
I think from our side, it's very much reinforcing what Rob said there. Clearly, both organizations bring a broader technical coverage of applications within the IBM portfolio. So that is an absolute that partnering together. We cross-fertilize ideas between our teams. And we recognize, as Rob said, the value of the partnership. So it's not a one project affair. We've been doing this for a number of years now and building on that relationship, as you witnessed it this year. So I think it's important that organizations like ourselves are able to offer our clients a far broader capability from a technical perspective, both professional services, from a support perspective and also from a software resale perspective, because one partner can't do it all or can't do it all credibly.
That makes total sense. It'd be very difficult for everyone to do everything very, very, very well. So from what I've always seen of Coliance and DeeperThanBlue working together, I think better together, you complement each other really well, and you're both experts in the respective areas. So just want to step back for a moment and sort of touch on what does IBM bring to all of this, and how does Arrow help make this kind of partnership work? Steve, I'd throw that question to you first initially.
Yeah, so I mean, Rob and Chris have talked about it already. You know, the IBM portfolio is so broad and so deep. No one partner can do everything. So it's really important that that Arrow can, IBM and Arrow acknowledge that, and we can go out to our ecosystem and find like-minded partners that can work together, that we know can work together, and from a cultural point of view. But also from a technology point of view, where do technologies and skills and experience, where do they complement each other, rather than sort of overlap, really? So that's why Coliance and DeeperThanBlue work really well together. Great fit culturally and from a skills perspective, no overlap or very little overlap. So you just, it enhances the ability for our IBM and our partners to deliver value for customers and for end users. So I think that's really, really important part of it.
That's a good point. Yeah, can I add to that, Sinead? Yeah, it's again, this is where Arrow act as that conduit, and it's probably not a fair enough word, but it's basically keeping us honest about how we're continuing to skill up, because we've got to maintain proficiencies. Our ethics, our certifications, our actual practices within the business have to be on point. Like we have to be ready for all the changes, and we've seen IBM make a number of acquisitions in the last year or two, so we have to pivot accordingly. And it's where do we invest in that, and Arrow and IBM together as that, I guess, as that trifecta with us as the partner, or quadfecta as we're four here. We can come together and sort of ask each other those questions and know that we've got backing from the likes of Arrow and IBM and DeeperThanBlue. So it's huge that relationship works almost as a clockwork, really, and we find that it does from a client standpoint.
I was about to say, both IBM as a vendor, Arrow as a distributor, and both Coliance and DeeperThanBlue as business partners, we work very, very closely together. So that synergy and that close communication. You mentioned we've made some acquisition and changes. It's really important that we get that information out to you as quickly as possible, so that you can either pivot or make decisions, enhance your capability on the back of those acquisitions. So yeah, really key that we're all on the same page. Chris, I think you were going to add something. Sorry.
I was, but I was also going to reinforce what Rob said. So I think to start with, if we look at IBM's investment both in acquisitions and its product roadmap, that means that we as organisations, Coliance, DeeperThanBlue, have to continually invest in education, training and certification, as Rob said. And that IBM sets a high bar for that in order to make sure its partners are proficient, qualified and certified, and rightly so. I think the other piece to mention is obviously IBM's a recognised leader with AI in today's market, and organisations are trying to understand where AI fits within their business. Some are bringing AI into processes, so plus AI, and other organisations are moving along the journey even faster and thinking about being AI first. Now, obviously, if you're a legacy business or an established business, that takes time, whereas a startup can think, I could be AI first, like organisations could be cloud first. But it's interesting that IBM can accommodate organisations no matter where they are on that journey. I think also to add from an Arrow perspective, Arrow has been at the forefront of forging the ecosystem. And I say forging, I think it's an interesting world. We're based in Sheffield, and so crucibles and forging things is quite a meaningful term in terms of what was the steel, and it still is, the steelmaking process. But Arrow has forged the ecosystem, and that's where partners like Rob, myself, with Coliance and DeeperThanBlue have come together, and some of his colleagues.
I echo all those comments, so thank you. So last question. So if a senior leader is watching this podcast who have their estate running on IBM today, what would you want them to take away from our conversation today? I'll give Rob the question first.
Yeah, thanks, Sinead. Good question. I think it's direct. If you're looking at direction, if you're unsure, uncertain in direction, it's give us a call, right? But it is as simple as that, because we can provide the guidance, whether it's replacing, doing health checks, modernising, especially that's right in the wheelhouse of Deeper Than Blue. Existing iteration technologies, yeah, so slight crossover between the two businesses, but we know where we can help a customer together. Again, losing those in-house individuals, if you've got people that they could be retiring because they've got the knowledge of a system that's been running 30 years, but we're probably at that sort of crossroads. That skills gap, can we support it? Can we help it for a period of time? Yeah, that would be my biggest takeaway. Talk to us. That's that.
From my perspective, I think it's important organisations don't feel they have to rip and replace. I think if you look at IBM's investment in the product roadmaps and you look at the capabilities of our two organisations, we can help people upgrade, migrate and modernise to later versions of these technologies. We can help them use cloud-like capabilities, and I say that carefully because there has been a rush in the last 3 years to public cloud, but we are seeing workloads start to move back onto premise or into private data centres. Public cloud isn't the answer for everybody. Sometimes it's important to consider where your data lives, whether you've got any regulatory or compliance regulations that sit over you. And the other aspect, I think both of us are starting to witness, and IBM I know is around data sovereignty, where data lives, and that it stays within a geography. So I think there's a number of things there. But just going back to the project side, I think it's important that people understand what the return on investment case looks like, and that they understand that it improves business metrics from an internal perspective. It addresses C-stat scores and improves those, or creates process efficiencies. And that's a good reason to select both organisations to help you make that next step from a modernisation perspective.
Great, thank you. Any other closing comments or anything else before?
Well, I would say, to answer that last question, the key takeaway is just to get more eyes on the problem. IT is complex and getting more and more complex as life goes on. So you kind of double the experts if you have a partnership like Coliance and Deeper Than Blue. Why wouldn't you want more skilled, more experience, more skills getting eyes on your project or your problem? And it's all about output, isn't it? Get eyes on the problem and get to the right output as soon as you can and quickly as you can to sort of deliver value back into the project. That's what I would say.
Yeah, no, very good point. Really good point. And my proficiencies alone, I think, is something to behold, right? From an IBM standpoint. But second that, Steve. I mean, let's say better together. I mean, that's a testament to what this is. Ain't long continue.
I would add at that
Absolutely.
point, with these projects, we've talked about resource, we've talked about technical know-how. You're not one and done with these projects, because that's how things slip into being legacy. And so it's important that you've got partners that can assist you, whether that's during holiday season, whether it's resources just left the business, and that somebody can provide managed services and support for you in whatever form you need, whether it's business hours or 24/7, and that they're there for you at the end of a telephone or any other form of communication we have today, because there are many, as we all know. But that partner is there for you to make sure your business continues to run and meets its SLAs at the end of the day. And that's what both organisations are here for. And obviously you can lean on us as much as you want. The most important thing is with ourselves, Coliance and Deeper Than Blue, you get the A team. You're not getting the C or the D team.
The A team, I like it. The A team. Well, look, thank you so much all for your time. It's been really fruitful conversation. And I'm looking forward to catching up with you soon in our flagship office, York Road, very soon.
Look forward to it, Sinead. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Sinead.
you.
Let's see.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Sinead. Good to see you, Rob. Good to see you, Steve.
Thank you, mate.